Hello, Fáilte. Hello, everyone. A very good evening to you. Trónónach Achtain go léir ar fud an domhan. Hello, everybody from around the world. Welcome to Live Irish Myths. I'm Anthony Murphy. This is episode 57. Coige is a shacht. You're all very welcome along this evening. I hope you're having a good time and you're all keeping safe and well. Lovely to see you all this evening. So, a couple of very special announcements before we kick off tonight's episode. I just wanted to let a few people join us first before. Sorry. I apologize. Amateur hour here. I think I would have done that beforehand. Anyway, you're all very welcome along. So the first commenter tonight on YouTube is Erica Bow. And I think you'll all join me in saying happy birthday, Erica. I believe it's your birthday today. What is it? Law Honna Bretlaw Ort, Erica. I hope you're having a lovely day. And how auspicious that your birthday should fall on the day of the full moon. Very interesting, intriguing. A full moon at the time of Bealtaine, so you're a Bealtaine baby. The 7th of May. Wonderful stuff. Well, happy birthday, Erica. And thank you for joining us. One of the regulars on YouTube. Erica Rivertree says, Banachty o Louisville, Kentucky. Tá, and I'm sure Grianvar August Goifer. Conas Tá to August Choc Morku. We're all great. And sunny here today. A little bit windy as well, but warmer than it was yesterday. Myself and my son, Finn, and the dog, Saskia, the female dog, we were out at Douth today in the evening. And it was lovely. Daisy Peter says, Fáilte, Anthony and everyone, a blessed and warm afternoon / evening to all. Sure, we look forward. One more fantastic episode. Here we go. Absolutely. Hopefully you'll enjoy yourself, Daisy. And Daisy is in Brazil. Kendall says, Giaguch Tua. Fáilte, Kendall. Mary Smith says, good evening, everybody. Giaguch, Mary, Fáilte. Aria Ivanchich is saying, Banachty, August Banachty to Fane, Aria. You're very welcome along. Ciao. Natty Lopez, hi all. Sadly, I'll be missing the live today. I have to work, but I'll catch up later tonight. Not to worry, Natty. Well, hopefully you'll get to hear your mention, and hopefully work isn't too taxing on you, and that you're able to enjoy the episode later. Mandy McCurl says, hello everyone. The Piper is tuning up, and I'm going to applaud the National Health Service. Lovely evening on the Isle of Mull. Brilliant stuff, Mandy. Megan Walter says, happy birthday, Erica. Yes, a lot of birthday wishes being extended to Erica. Absolutely right that we should celebrate the birthday of one of our wonderful Tua. Erin Durrett is watching. Pamela Walter says, Giagriv from the Netherlands. Giagriv, Pamela. And to you also, Erin Fáilte. Barbara Barney says, hi, Anthony. Giagriv. Lucy Robinson, evening, Anthony and the Tua. Fáilte. Pull up a chair. Kirsten Salisbury says, hi all. Hello, Kirsten. Nora Gaffney O'Connor. Giagriv, how are you all? Fabulous today, Nora. Fabulous. So far anyway. Rowan Grove, greetings from sunny Colorado. My red poppies are starting to bloom, but we may have frost Friday night, so I'll need to protect them. Oh yeah, keep them under cover. Margaret Ring is in the house. Good evening, everyone. Fáilte, Margaret, Conas Tá to Alan Bryett. Giagriv, Anthony, hello from sunny Rhode Island. Excellent. Good to hear that. Tá an Grian ag tatneamh ar fud an domhan. The sun is shining all around the world. Lorna Evers Monaghan is in the house also and says, hello all. Giagriv, Lorna. Michael Naylor says, good afternoon, Anthony and all the tribe from Mike and Jeanette in Princeton. Wonderful stuff. Great to see you guys as always. John McAndrew says, good afternoon from upstate New York. Hi, John. Nora Gaffney O'Connor says, happy birthday, Bops. And yes, a few people saying happy birthday to Erica. Looking good, Anthony. Blessings to you and all the new to us sisters and brothers who are joining us. Absolutely. Kathy May Deo says, good evening, Anthony. Greetings from Newcastle, Washington State, USA. Excuse me. Beautiful sunny day here today. Excited for another get-together today. Brilliant stuff, Kathy. You're welcome. Ralph Waldron, I think the welcoming ceremony is very important in any Tua. It's very true. It's like you all feel that you're part of something, you know. It's a personal thing, you know. Melanie Corpy says hello from the USA. Fáilte, Melanie, good evening to you. Mariana Dunn, greetings, Anthony, and dear Tua from wonderful sunny Virginia. There you go. It's still sunny. Tá Fáilte Roat, Mariana. Nolan Proctor says he's grateful for the Tua, and we're grateful to have you along, Nolan. Laura McCormick says, evening Tua, a joy to join you all again for more storytelling and learning. Happy birthday, Erica. Kristen Gray Taggart is in Davis, in California. Hope all is well with all the Tua today. It's great to see you all. Happy full moon, super moon. It's a lovely, powerful time. Woo! Says Melanie Corpy. Indeed it is. Todd Desborough is in Burnett Woods in Ohio. I'm watching from the woods. Brilliant. Excellent. That sounds nice. Tom King is saying, good evening, Anthony and fellow Tua. And Tom is in Ballyashlania, Slane in County Meath, about 7 miles in that direction. Right through that spiral. See the triple spiral there that he made for me? That's the direction your house is from here, Tom. I'm pretty sure of it. Cheryl Ann McFetridge says, cheers and love from Boston. Love the show. Draw more earth from all of us, Cheryl Ann. Yvette Tillema, another wonderful day with Tuad de Murphy. Hello, Yvette. Edina Sparks. Good evening, Anthony. Hope everyone is well today. Sunny and hot in New Mexico. And your surname is very apt for the flames that we have seen in the past couple of days, Edina. Sparks. The sparks of Bealtaine and the sparks of hope. Patricia McAteer is watching. Hi, Patricia. Megan Walters is saying happy birthday, Erica. Jim Conway says, Gia Rich, Fáilte Jim, Conasatá to John Roach is in Dyfed in Wales. Pronounced Doved. I knew I got it wrong, you know. Doved. I'll try and remember that. Doved. John Roach is in Doved in Wales, home of the Mabinogion Tales. Brilliant stuff. Barbara Kling, Gia Rich, Anthony Augustua. Hello from Vermont. Wonderful to have Vermont in the house. Pull up a pew, grab a brew or a dram, and sit down by the fire on the hearth, and we'll get some good stories going. Joan Rankin says, hello, Tua. Greetings from Cape Breton. Always a great pleasure to see you, Joan. Maeve Fina Callahan says, hello, dear Mythic Tua. Happy birthday, Erica. Jack Durkin says, hi, everyone. Fáilte Trinat ni Erk Giaglev Akarja. Just paused my writing on an essay about druids in early Irish literature to tune in with the Tua. Fantastic stuff, Triana. I was writing immediately before the episode, writing my new book. I may read a page of that is apt to the topics of the moment before the evening is out. Linda Nolan says, hi, Anthony, from Phoenix in Arizona. Rising from the ashes of the Bealtaine fire is the Phoenix of Arizona. Hi, Linda. Doris O'Hara says, hi, Anthony and everyone. Gia Gwitch. Jack Durkin says 10 days and 4 hours left of lockdown in Ireland. Yes, we're not entirely locked down, which is a good thing. My 5 kilometres lets me get to part of Brunabonia. Christy Moore's birthday today as well. I believe Christy Moore is 75. Jim Conway reminded me of that. Happy birthday, Christy Moore. Joan Rankin says, hello to her. Greetings from Cape Breton Island again. Hello, Joan. Joan wants 2 mentions. That's okay, Joan. We'll give you 2 mentions. Barb Jordan says it's a sunny day here too. Ger Moan is in Dublin on this beautiful full moon time. Hi, Ger. Lovely to see you again. Last time we met was in Slane on the Leap Day. And that was the last time I was at any sort of a big public event with lots of people at it. A lovely day we had then. Little did we know that we wouldn't have a clue when we'd be able to do such a thing again. Indigo Yelverton says, flower full moon from Ennis, County Clare. Always a pleasure to see Clarions in the house. Hello, Indigo. Marie Biscard is in Copenhagen. Fáilte Trinonawat Marie. David Clark is watching. Do you know who David Clark is? David Clark is the man who is the custodian of Ishnok, who lit the fire for us 2 evenings ago. David, it is such a true honour and a pleasure to have you in the house. I really, really am delighted to see you. It's fantastic. And thank you from the bottom of our hearts. And I know that I'm speaking on behalf of everyone because they all said it. Thank you from the bottom of our hearts for kindling the great Ishnok Bealtaine fire and kindling hope in all of us. It was a fabulous, fabulous thing to do. We're looking forward to when we can go back to Ishnok. I personally am looking forward to going back to Ishnok and seeing you and your family and the wonderful site again before too long. But in the meantime, I'm sure that I speak on behalf of the whole Tua here when I say Gra Mór agus Gora Mila Mahagot. Mark Ledger says, good morning, all of the Tua from tropical Townsville in North Australia. Mark, always a pleasure to see the Australians in the house. You in particular, fantastic stuff. Fáilte. Alex Casterton says, hello, Anthony, Tua, and happy birthday, Christy. Well, it's actually, oh yes, Christy, but Erica Bow's birthday. Erica, who's one of our regular viewers. It's her birthday today, Alex. And I'm sure that the reason you're late is because you're applauding the NHS. Fair play to you, and that's fantastic. Shira Land says, greetings from North Carolina in USA. Gia good, Shira. Bernie Courtney says, hi. Fáilte, Bernie. Teresa McGuinness says it's clear. A clear sky in Callahan, Florida. Bright moon tonight, hopefully. Fingers crossed. Sabrina Leatherfine says, hello. A Uruguayan here in love of Ireland and its culture. Sabrina, wonderful to have you in the house. Henry Paddy Shearman says, good evening, Tua. Good evening, Anthony. Fáilte Moore. Henry, lovely to see you again. Louise Sherrill says, hello again. Fáilte, Louise. Demi Woe says, hi from Colorado. A bit windy today. Ah, yes. A bit of the old goy. But not to worry, we had it here too. Hopefully it's not too bad. Kimberly Halligan says, hi from sunny New York City. So glad I could make the live session. And we're glad to have you here too. Kimberly, always a great pleasure. Nick Eska Casterton, just back from clapping the NHS and care workers. Hi to brilliant stuff, Nick. Good evening to you. Heather Guerin Rice is saying hello, enjoying the sun. Brilliant. Seems to be sunny all over today, which is fantastic. I think David's flame at Ishnok has brought the sun out all over the world. Alice Mullins Garcia is in AZLE, Asla in Texas. Alice, it's a great pleasure to see you. Paul Keating, looking forward to another great show. Listening here in Tipperary. Trinonawa Afoil. Jules Cousin says hi. Trinonawa, Jules, great to see you. Vicky Wallace Southall says hello, my lovely friends. And I want to say, not just hello to Vicky, I want to say a very, very special hello also to Evan. Evan, if you're listening, it's great to have you along. Fáilte agus Giaguich from Ireland. Jack Durkin is saying happy birthday, Christy. Christy Moore is getting a lot of happy birthdays on here. Somebody bring Christy Moore in here now and tell him that we want to tell him a happy birthday. We want to wish him a happy birthday. I've pulled up a pew and got a dram in hand, Anthony. When I finish this camper van, you're taking me round Ireland from one pro to another, says Dave Russell. Good luck with the new book. Thanks, Dave. And Trinonawa. Brendan Kinch, some love the full moon, but it does not go well with my hobby. Never mind. Giagriv Golair. Another interesting evening ahead with stories from our heritage. I noticed today too, in the middle of the day, the Boyne was very full high tide today when the full moon was in the opposite part of the sky. So there's two tides a day when the moon is roughly in the south of the sky and 12 hours later or so when it is in the opposite part of the sky, behind the earth, as it were. Kathy May Deo says, hello, David. You are so awesome. See, David Clark, I told you you're awesome. You're a wonderful man. Indigo Yelverton, looking forward to hearing a snippet of your new book. Can't wait to go back to Newgrange. And a lot of people saying Evan, hello to Evan as well, which is really, really sweet. Tracy O'Connor is watching. It's becoming a bit of a habit. How are you? Yes, I'll follow up later with a private message about what I was messaging about, something really extraordinary. Judy McQueen says hello, Fáilte Judy. Rowan Grove is also saying thanks to David. David Clark is the man of the moment. He's watching here on Live Irish Myths. The man who's hit. Well, I'm sure, David, you won't mind if I extend the credit to your family, to your wife Angela and your children as well, who I know took part in the events. And, of course, the friends and helpers of Ishnok who helped you with kindling that wonderful fire that brought so much warmth and so much love into all our hearts. It's fantastic. Yeah, look, everybody's saying, David, bravo. It's brilliant. Take a bow. Take a bow, my man. You're a real legend. Katrina says, Gora Mila Mahagut, Vishe Iontoch Echt. What's echt, Katrina? That's a word I don't know. But you're very welcome along. It's good to see you. Joan Rankin says so much. David, you're a legend. It's either happy birthday, Erica, or it's David is a legend. Evan is saying hello, says Vicky. Hello, Evan. How are you? It's great to see you. Hope you really enjoy the stories. Liz Pearce says, good evening from County Durham in England. Fáilte Moore, Liz. Great to see you in the house. Pat Rowan is watching. I'm not sure if you're on the road, Pat. Don't worry. If you're not commenting, I'll know you're trying to keep her between the ditches. All our best wishes from Ireland to the Olympic Peninsula near Port Townsend in Washington State. Elaine Duff Kopetsky says hello again from British Columbia in Canada. Made some barm bread this morning. Turned out very good. Oh, sorry, I'm trying to see more here. Hope everyone is well. All keeping good so far, Elaine. Thank you. Veronica Casey says, good evening all. Trinonawa. Veronica, nice to see you again. Mary Cloran says, hi, Anthony, from on Chinvervor. Hello, Mary, Fáilte, and Giaguch from Droichedáhaid, Cundilú. Susan Scott, even. My apologies, Susan. Says, hello, sunny here in the Northwest Hills of Connecticut, USA. Fantastic stuff. Told you, it's sunny everywhere because of David's fire. Marie Eames McGowan says, greetings from North Leitrim. Lovely to see you, Marie. Fáilte. Sabrina Letterfrain says, Giaguch to all of you. And another way of saying that, Sabrina, is Giariv, which basically means, hello to all of you. Or literally, God be with ye, rather than God be with you, singular. Oh, Vicky's in tears. I'm not surprised. It's wonderful. It really is. It's moving everybody to tears. Simon Cute is in the house. Simon is also connected with Ishnok and that fabulous page that I've been telling you all to go and look for, and that is Monumental Ireland. Simon, you are a monument, and it's great. I don't mean you're old, by the way. I mean, you're monumental in stature. Lovely to have you along. Pat Rowan says, hi, special to I'm out on my beautiful route with nature. Lots of light to you all. And solace back to you, Patrick. Oh, brilliant. Amanda Moyle says, hi, Giaguch, Amanda. I'm going to skip some comments where people are talking to each other, if that's okay. Ben Hancock says, hello, everyone. Fáilte, Ben. Serena Swift, sorry I'm late. Not feeling well today. Hopefully we'll be able to lift your spirits a little bit for you, Serena. Okay. Wow. It's brilliant. David and Evan, the two men of the moment. It's brilliant. Maria Mahan says, hello again, Anthony from Wexford. Been out for a while now. Glad to be back for the stories. Wonderful to have you back, Maria. Fáilte. Raymond Lawson says, hi, Giaguch, Raymond. Evania Lee says, Morena from New Zealand. Brilliant. Are you watching from New Zealand? Fantastic stuff. Fáilte. Macy Damon says, good day / evening to all. Yes, good morning to the Australians and the Kiwis in the house. Movanwe Millward says, hello, everyone. Thank you for all the candles and well wishes yesterday evening. It's given me some good energy. I'm on the road to recovery. Brilliant stuff. And she's sending Erica a happy birthday in Welsh. And if I try to pronounce that, I know I'm going to butcher it. Penblwyd hapus. I know that'll be till all the Welsh speakers will be smacking their heads going, he didn't just say that, did he? So Katrina says, I started making a heart in stones on the hill this morning outside, inspired by David and Clan. All the apartments can see it. Grawmore do Gachdini. Brilliant stuff, Katrina. Amanda Moyle says, bright and sunny noontime in California. What are we on? 18 minutes. Good. 18 minutes. Right. Skip forward, YouTubers, when you're watching back and your time is precious and you don't have time for all the hellos, which is the best part of the day for a lot of people. We're going to continue talking about the May Day traditions because I just felt that with the theme that was in it, the Bealtaine show was very interesting and there was a lot of interaction. The Ishnok evening was fantastic, and of course it was long lived because we had the Ishnok live mates here, then we had the fire at Ishnok by David and Angela and family, and then we had my fire, and then we had everyone else's sharing their fires, and it was wonderful. And then we had Era yesterday, which was a lot of that was about Ishnok as well, but also pertaining to Bealtaine. So we're back to Bealtaine. Oh, dare I forget the YouTubers? I may have missed a few. Office Care 36. I think that's the Woodsies. Anto, I'll be back. Just arrived. Okay, Seamus Mara says, well, everyone, Fáilte, Seamus. Kujam Razalgeti says, hello, wanderers and wayfarers. Jackie Stevenson says it's another hot day in California. I may have read that one already, did I? I'm not sure. I can't remember now. Lost Wolfing says, hello all the way from South Carolina. Your live streams have been such a blessing during this time. Thank you for that. And it's lovely to see you. Fáilte. A lot of people saying hello and happy birthday to Erica, which is wonderful. Autumn Piper. Autumn has made it from South Carolina. Love and light. Fantastic. Giaguch, Autumn. If I'd known we were going to lure Christy Moore in, I'd have brought a cake and streamers, says Lost Wolfing. I wonder what your real name is, but thank you for that. I'm sure he'd appreciate it if he was here. Episode suggestion, herbs and plants in Irish mythology and folklore. I think we had trees, didn't we? I'm not sure if we had herbs. Of course, the story of Miach and the restoration of Nuadu's arm is an interesting one. 365 herbs. Herbs and plants in Irish myth. And that is a suggestion from Erica Rivertree. Lovely name, by the way. Rivertree. So the Woodsies say, I have dinner on the table with the... Looks like a slice of pizza. Hello from the Woodsies. Okay, Woodsies, I know you have me on in the background, and sure, look, you'll get round to it in a few minutes, I'm sure. Anyway. Veronica Casey says, my son is listening now. He says hello to you all. Connor. Hi, Connor. Fáilte. Aaron Durrett says, I'm starting a YouTube versus Facebook rivalry. No such thing. There's no rivalry in this tour. We are not the warring clans of the Middle Ages. Grace Walker says, hi, Giaguch. Lloyd Stillwell says, hello again. Fáilte. Margaret Kiernan says, hello, all a bit late. I was reading my poetry on another page. Failure for Unity. Fantastic stuff, Margaret. Great to see you. Amanda Moyle, bright and sunny noontime in California. Okay, good. So we were talking about maypoles and May trees and all that, and fires and all the rest. Maypoles. There are, however, specific descriptions. So it's really 21 and a half, isn't it? You know, by the time we kind of got started. 21:30, let's say, for the YouTubers. There are, however, specific descriptions of maypoles from certain towns. Thus, in Ulster Journal of Archaeology in 1855, we read, maypoles, until the beginning of the present century, it was customary in the town of Carrickfergus for the young men to bring in a tall, straight tree from the country and plant it as a maypole on May Day. And there's a beautiful song, isn't there, called Carrickfergus. Still earlier, a large number of the young men used to assemble on this day, wearing white linen shirts over their other dress, decorated with a profusion of lively ribbons tied in knots. Having elected a king and queen, they danced round the maypole and then visited the houses of the chief inhabitants for contributions. While from Mahara, County Derry, a local clergyman reported in 1816, on the first day of May, from time immemorial until the year 1798, a large pole was planted in the marketplace at Mahara, and a procession of May boys, headed by a mock king and queen, paraded the neighbourhood, dressed in shirts over their clothes and ornamented with ribbons of various colours. This practice was revived last year, and the May boys collected about £17 at the different places where they called. This defrayed the expense of a public dinner next day. Circumstances, however, occurred soon after, which induced one of the neighbouring magistrates to come into the town and cut down the pole which had been planted in the marketplace. At least one other maypole figured in the tragic events of 1798. From Kildare, we read, in some towns, the maypole was a permanent fixture. One formerly stood at the junction of the streets in Castle Dermot. A pump now occupies the site. Earlier still, this may have been the site of a market cross, or the market cross, as funerals passing through the town always make one turn round the present pump. Some rebels are said to have been hanged from the maypole in 98. The maypole was unknown in the country districts and was probably introduced into the towns by the English. Other towns with maypole traditions are Downpatrick, Kilkenny, Mountmellick, Portarlington and Portlaoise. Most, if not all of these, seem to bear out the remark in the last excerpt quoted above, that the maypole is a medieval or later introduction into the towns from England. More recent attempts are known by people with English associations to introduce the polite English custom of the maypole to the, quote, wild Irish, unquote. Thus, at Rathkeil in County Limerick, a local landlord's wife, an Englishwoman, had a maypole set up in 1812 and endeavoured to get the local people to dance around it. But when the novelty wore off, the experiment failed. There is, however, no doubt about the immense popularity of the great Dublin maypoles at Harold's Cross and Finglas, thus described by Sir William Wilde in Irish Popular Superstitions. The two Dublin maypoles were erected outside the city. One of these stood in the centre of Harold's Cross Green and existed within the memory of some of the present generation. After its decay, an old withered poplar supplied its place for many years, and so recently as the year 1836, the publicans of the village erected a maypole, decorated it, and gave a number of prizes in order to collect an assemblage of the people by restoring the ancient festivities. The chief maypole of Dublin, however, was erected at the pretty suburban village of Finglas, Fionnglas, to the north of the city, near the Glasnevin Botanic Gardens, a spot which combines the most delicious sylvan scenery with the charm of the associations connected with the names of Swift, Addison, Tickell, Delaney, and in our own day of our distinguished fellow citizen, Dr. Walsh. Who's that? Here it stood until within the last few years, a very tall, smooth pole, like the mast of a vessel, and upon every Easter Monday it was painted white and encircled with a red and blue spiral stripe, like a barber's pole. In latter years, at least, it was not decorated with floral hoops and garlands like the usual English maypole, but was well soaped from top to bottom in order to render it more difficult to climb. And to its top were attached in succession the different prizes, consisting generally of a pair of leather breeches, a hat, or an old pinchbeck watch. Whoever climbed the pole and touched the prize became its possessor. All Dublin turned out to Finglas upon May Day to witness the sports and revels of the people, and the streets of the little village and the adjoining roads were thronged with carriages, hackney cars, jingles, and noddies, filled with the better class of citizens. Do I hear of class discrimination here? What, in the early 19th century? Not at all. There were also a gaudily dressed king and queen of the May, chosen from among the villagers, but they were the least attractive portion of the assembly. The revels consisted of climbing the pole, running after a pig with a shaved and well-soaped tail, which was let loose in the middle of the throng, grinning through horse collars for tobacco, leaping and running in sacks, foot races for men and women, dancing reels, jigs and hornpipes, ass races, in which each person rode or drove his neighbour's beast, the last being declared the winner, blindfolded men trying to catch a bell ringer, and also wrestling, hopping, and leaping. Brilliant. An adjoining field was selected for the celebration of the majority of these sports. Stewards were appointed to keep the course and see fair play, and 20 or 30 pounds worth of prizes, consisting of shawls, hats, frieze coats, handkerchiefs, and women's gowns and bonnets, were often distributed among the winners. Tents were erected and bands of music paraded through the assembly, and even shows and booths were to be seen scattered throughout the village. In the evening, the crowds collected round the maypole, where the boys and girls danced in a ring until a late hour, before the king and queen, who, attended by a man dressed as a Highlander, sat on a raised platform. In the 1820s, donkey might be safer, says Katrina. Yes, ass races. That conjures up images. Let's not go there. In the 1820s, both these maypole customs fell into disuse, and in spite of attempts to revive them, they had died out by the middle of the 19th century. In Tralee, about 1785, an eccentric lady named Ms. Cameron gave prizes for May Day games and supervised these from an elevated platform, as described in Tralee 70 years ago. Do you know, it's just, that's in 1856 in the Kerry magazine, and we'll quote from that just momentarily. It does bring to mind, doesn't it, the Éannaigh, the Éanach, the gatherings, the assemblies, and Éanach Talchin and Éanach Carman and all that. And one wonders whether, festivities and events and games like this weren't part of the older gatherings and assemblies. The scene opened with a dance on a large scale, Dronehenge. There you go, ass races in Dronehenge. The scene opened with a dance on a large scale to the music of several pipers and fiddlers. Foot races by men for hats from the platform to Caharan followed in what must be considered a most ludicrous mode. Bags or sacks were fastened around the necks of the competitors, and in that way they were to proceed. Of course, they could only jump or hop, and were on the ground as often as they missed a step, but were always put in their legs again by the spectators. Sounds like the sack race that we had in our own sports days as children. We did the sack race in school at sports days when I was a kid, and that's only like 15 years ago, Okay, it's a bit more than 15 years ago. The tobacco and snuff were dealt out to the best grinners, male and female. The amusement was kept up during the day with great order, which was enforced by Miss Cameron from her elevated position. On all other May days, the townspeople repaired to Ballyseedy to amuse themselves by dancing and drinking, a custom which is still partially kept up. But I think the dancing and drinking bit is a custom kept well alive in Ireland long after the May poll traditions died out. Other forms of May Day revelry are known from other areas. Wood Martin, in Traces of the Elder Fates, and of course we read from, wasn't it, volume 2 of that work before. From the diary of Joshua White, a Quaker, we learn that so late as the middle of the 18th century, propitiatory rustic processions took place in the south of Ireland. The Observer records that about noon in the month of May 1752, there passed through the streets of Limerick many thousand peasants marshalled in companies representing various branches of agriculture. First of all came the ordinary labourers, the men in their shirts, in ranks, the women also with green corn and straw, the plough driven along and the harrow, the mowers with their scythes, the reapers and the gleaners, and a great number of women, and a great number of their flails, walking in a great procession to congratulate the probability of a good ensuing harvest. These country people made a second appearance the next day, at which time the country people of Clare and Limerick joined together and were very particular in their representation of personating the several orders of husbandry in all the branches of it. Fascinating. And Thomas Crofton Croker in Fairy Legends of the South of Ireland, 1825, tells us of what he calls mummers, which he considers are related, he does not say how, to English morris dancers. They consist of a number, varying according to circumstances, of the girls and young men of the village or neighbourhood, usually selected for their good looks, or their proficiency, the females in the dance, the youths in hurling and other athletic exercises. They march in procession, 2 abreast, and in 3 divisions, the young men in the van and the rear, dressed in white or other grey-coloured jackets or vests, and decorated with ribbons on their hats and sleeves. The young women are dressed also in light-coloured garments, and 2 of them bear each a holly brush, in which are hung several new hurling balls, the May Day present of the girls to the youths of the village. Megan says, women with flails, watch out. You're not wrong there. The bush is decorated with a profusion of long ribbons or paper cut in imitation, which adds greatly to the gay and joyous, yet strictly rural appearance of the whole. The procession is always preceded by music, sometimes of the bagpipes. And there we go. We saw the bagpiper at Ishnock a couple of evenings ago as the fire was lit. I believe Helen Guinan is in the house. Everybody genuflect. Your Royal Highness, always a pleasure, Mom. But more commonly of a military fife with the addition of a drum or tambourine. A clown is, of course, in attendance. He wears a frightful mask. No, we're not thinking of It, Stephen King, and bears a long pole with shreds of cloth nailed to the end of it. I'm so giddy tonight, I better settle myself down. Like a mop, which ever and anon he dips in a pool of water or puddle, and besprinkles such of a crowd as press upon his companions, much to the delight of the younger spectators, who greet his exploits with loud and repeated shouts and laughter. The mummers during the day parade the neighbouring villages, or go from one gentleman's seat to another, dancing before the mansion house and receiving money. The evening, as might be expected, terminates with, yes, you've guessed. No, not morris dancing, drinking. Patrick Kennedy in The Banks of Burrow describes a similar procession. After a reasonable pause, we had the delight of seeing 12 young men come forth, accompanied by the same number of young women, the boys dressed much more showily than the girls. They were in their shirt sleeves, waistcoats, knee breeches, white stockings, and turned pumps, sashes of bright colours round their waists, and ribbons of every hue encircling hats, shirt sleeves, knees and bodies, the shoulders getting even more than their due. Mellow Nello is in the house. Neil, good evening to you. Fáilte. The girls, their hair decked with ribbons, were in their Sunday garb, but for once the admiration of the crowd was given to the men and their ornaments. To heighten the beauty of the spectacle, out sprung the fool and his wife. The first with some headdress of skin, a frightful mask, and a goat's beard descending from it. Though we knew that the big, bluff, good-natured countenance of Paw himself was behind the vizard, we could scarcely refrain from taking flight, not being able any more than other children to look on an ugly mask without extreme terror. His wife, little Tom Blanche, the tailor, was in an orange tawny gown, flaming handkerchief, and mob cap, and had a tanned, ugly female mask fitting pretty close to her face. Liam Smith says, Gia Reeve, Anton, Augustua, Fáilte Liam. What is Morris dancing? I couldn't even describe Morris dancing. I'll tell you what, Ivania, when you're finished watching this, go and put a search into YouTube, Morris dancing. It's a very antiquated form of dancing. It looks, I mean, some people might say it looks silly. It's not the sort of thing that you do in a disco. Let's put it that way, you know. Paul's first salute to his friends was a yell, a charge in various directions, and a general thrashing of the crowd, with his pea-furnished bladder suspended from a long stick. Mrs. Clown had a broom, and used to some purpose when she found her friends disposed to crowd her. The players formed a procession and marched to a neighbouring big house, where they performed a rustic comedy, chiefly concerned with the attempts of a youth to steal the affections of the fool's wife, and ended with a figure dance. This went on for several days, the players visiting all the larger houses and farms in the district, and being hospitably entertained at each. Liz Pierce describes it aptly: middle-aged men with bells on their knees waving hankies. An instant, definitely not in the disco, says Nora Gaffney O'Connor. An instance of this in County Antrim is noted in the Belfast Mercury on 15th of May, 1786. Here the custom was observed on Old May Day, and of course that was before the calendar adjustment. Friday last, being the 1st of May, OS, a number of young men, to the amount of 50 and upwards, assembled at Antrim as May boys, elegantly dressed, where they had a superb garland prepared for the occasion, with which they paraded at some of the respectable houses in and about the neighbourhood, then marched to the Right Honourable John O'Neill's, and after the usual formalities, presented the garland to Master Charles O'Neill, who with the utmost politeness received the same, and instantly made them a generous reward for their attention. And his father, ever foremost in liberality, ordered them to be treated with wine, etc., etc. And in place of etc. and etc., you can place the words rum or gin and whiskey. A little bit closer to home here for me now. In a few places in counties Louth, Meath and Monaghan, the carrying about of an effigy by the May revellers is remembered in tradition. The best description of this is that given by John Donaldson in his account of the barony of Upper Fuse in the county of Armagh, written in 1838 and published in Dundalk in 1923. And of course, we've met the Fuse Mountains and Sliabh Fuat in some of the tales, including when Cuchulainn came across into Magbreg. Or Magbray. On May Eve, some young persons of both sexes are still in the habit of gathering Mayflowers, Caltha palustris, in the meadows, which they carry home and strew outside their doors same evening. Of the origin of this custom, their traditions furnish them with no account, but the writer is of the opinion that they are the remains of the Roman Florialia, for on May Day, in the adjoining parts of the county of Louth, the figure of a female is made up, fixed upon a short pole, and dressed in a fantastic manner with flowers, ribbons, etc. Interesting stuff. This figure they call the May Baby, but it is probable that at its first exhibition that it was made to represent Flora, the goddess of flowers and also of fecundity. One wonders, there's no such goddess in Ireland as Flora, which goddess it might have been. Was it Eru? Was it Bridget? No. She'd be more associated with Imbolc, wouldn't she? Pardon me. Around this figure, a man and woman, generally his wife, of the humble class, dressed also fantastically with straw, etc., dance to the sound of a fiddle and entertain the people with indecent shows and postures, the figure at the same time being kept moving by the rustic maiden that supports it. These exhibitions cause great merriment among the assembled populace. Women who have no children to their husbands also attend, some of them from a considerable distance, to see this figure and exhibition, which they imagine will promote fruitfulness in them and cause them to have children. Sheila na gig. Money is always collected at the end of this pantomime, and the exhibitors and musicians, attended by a concourse of people, proceed to gentlemen's houses with the figure, where they also get money. Anya, maybe. Yes, Margaret, possibly. When all is collected and the actors and musicians received some remuneration, the remainder is laid out in drink, and the evening passes by jovially. This is also mentioned by Sir William Wilde. Together with something like a hobby horse from Monaghan, we have a graphic account of a somewhat similar proceeding. There the girls dressed up a churn dash as a May babby, like the breedogs at Candlemas, and the men a pitchfork with a mask, horse's tail, a turnip head, and ragged old clothes as a May boy. But these customs have, we believe, long since become quite obsolete. In several of the above accounts, and in others, there is mention of a May Queen and also sometimes of a May King. The only such custom to have survived into recent times seems to be that described by Mrs. Cooper Foster in Ulster Folklore in 1951. It is odd to find the custom of the May Queen observed in Belfast and not, so far as I know, in any rural area of Ulster. In nearly every working-class district of the city, little girls dress up in all kinds of fantastic finery, from shortly after Easter to well on in May. They parade about the streets, followed by their courts, singing, dancing, and entertaining generally, and begging with shameless persistence from every passer-by. On May Eve, they light bonfires in the side streets and dance around them. Last year, I asked one of the queens what they did with the proceeds of their begging, and I was told that they had a magnificent party, quote, cake and buns and ice cream and oranges. God bless, unquote. Although one feels a sense of guilt in encouraging the practice of begging in the streets by children, it is difficult to refuse these bright and colourful little ladies. And I suppose the alms one gives them could be looked upon as a subsidy for an old custom, which, if it died out, would leave Belfast vastly poorer. Sir William Wilde, however, in Popular Irish Superstitions, states that in country parts he had never heard of a girl being May Queen, that part in the revels being taken by a young man dressed as a woman. I just want to see, quite a little bit left to go, isn't there? Okay, I'm going to skip a section because I want to talk about the May Dew. How's everybody keeping? Francis Chute is watching. Hello, Francis. Conas Atatu, Fáilte. A lot of comments on YouTube that I won't have the time to read out. Hark Mill, M-Y-L, says, here in Germany, the maypole is an important tradition in every village still. The whole village comes out to see its erection. If it came from England to Ireland, then it may be a Germanic tradition. Very interesting, Hark. Thank you for that information. Katrina wants to know what book. The Year in Ireland, Irish Calendar Customs by Kevin Danaher. The learned Sir Gerard Boate, B-O-A-T-E, in his Natural History of Ireland, 1652, tells of the virtues of May Dew, and the manner of gathering and preserving it. The English women and gentlewomen in Ireland, as in England, did use in the beginning of the summer to gather good store of dew to keep it by them all the year after for several good uses, both of physic and otherwise, wherein by experience they have learnt it to be very available. Their manner of collecting and keeping it was this. In the month of May especially, and also in part of the month of June, they would go forth betimes in the morning and before sunrising into a green field, and there, either with their hands, strike off the dew from the tops of the herbs into a dish, or else throwing clean linen cloths upon the ground, take off the dew from the herbs into them, and afterwards wring it out into dishes. And thus they continue their work until they have got a sufficient quantity of dew according to their intentions. That which is gotten from the grass will serve, but they choose rather to have it from the green corn, especially wheat, if they can have the convenience to do so, as being persuaded that this dew hath more virtues, and is better for all purposes than that which hath been collected from the grass or other herbs. The dew thus gathered they put into a glass bottle, and so set it in a place where it may have the warm sunshine all day long, keeping it there all the summer. After some days' rest, some dregs and dirt will settle to the bottom, the which, when they perceive, they pour off all the clear dew into another vessel, and fling away those settlings. This they do often, because the dew doth not purge itself perfectly in a few days, but by degrees, so as new dregs, served from the purer parts by the working of the dew, helped on by sunbeams, do settle again. Of the which, as often as those good women see any notable quantity, they still pour off the clear dew from them, doing thus all summer long, until it be clear to the bottom. The dew thus thoroughly purified looketh whitish, and keepeth good for a year or two after. With this belief in the powers of May dew among the erudite and the fashionable, it was not surprising to find the same notion strongly held by the ordinary people of the Irish countryside. It was often gathered in the way described by Boat and kept as a medicine or an aid to beauty. It was still more powerful if it was taken and used before sunrise on May Day. There is a well-known riddle referring to this in several versions, both in Irish and English. One version runs, I washed my face in water that had neither rained nor run, and I dried it on a towel that was neither woven nor spun. The answer, of course, being that, quote, I washed my face in the dew and let it dry in the air, unquote. Unquote. To conserve its power, it should not be wiped out. Is that May dew you drinketh, says Katrina. The young woman who washed her face thus gained a fair complexion, while if she were daring enough to undress and roll naked in the dew, she was given great beauty of person. Now, ladies, calm yourselves down, all right? The dew was believed to bring immunity from freckles, sunburn, chapping, and wrinkles during the coming year. I shouldn't have said all this. We do not want you to share those pictures on the Mythical Ireland community, thank you. You can keep those to yourselves. It also cured or prevented headaches, skin ailments, and sore eyes. Applied to the eyes, it ensured that its user rose every morning clear-eyed, alert, and refreshed, even after a very short sleep. The man who washed his hands in the dew of May Day gained skill in opening knots and locks, in mending nets and disentangling ropes. The woman who did likewise could unravel tangled threads with ease. To walk barefoot in the dew cured soreness, prevented corns and bunions, and ensured healthy feet during the year. More sinister use of May dew in the practice of evil magic is described below. I'm sorry I've become thoroughly distracted, or at least some of the comments were suggesting I've managed to distract you all. Lucy Robinson is just happening to point out that it's the full moon. So get out there before the first of the light tomorrow morning. That'll have to be about 3:30 or 4 o'clock in the morning, by the way. Do what you need to do in the in the dew under the full moon of Bealtaine. So powerful were the preternatural forces abroad in the night between sunset on May Eve and sunrise on May Day that almost anything might be expected to happen. Nora says she's setting her alarm for the morning. Dairy produce was especially vulnerable to the working of evil magic, and careful precautions were taken to guard against this. In Camden's Britannia, 1610, we have a tradition which the author says he had from a priest named Good, G-O-O-D. Imagine a priest whose name is Good, who about the year of our Lord 1566 taught the school at Limerick. They take her for a wicked woman and a witch, whatever she be, that cometh to fetch fire from them on May Day. Neither will they give any fire then, but unto a sick body, and that with a curse. For because they think the same woman will the next summer steal away all the butter. If they find an hare amongst their herds of cattle on the said May Day, they kill her, for they suppose she is some old trot that would filch away their butter. They are of opinion that their butter, if it be stolen, that's Beestollen, this is very antiquated English, which is why I'm reading it so slowly, will soon after, Soone, be restored again, Againe, in case they take away some of the thatch that hangeth over the door of the house and cast it into the fire. The same tradition is still remembered all over Ireland. No fire must be given out of the house on May morning, and no honest person would ask for it. Almost anything taken from the house, or indeed any part of the farm at dawn on May Day, could be used to steal the butter, giving the evildoer a greatly increased quantity, while the victim's churn produced nothing but froth. Dew gathered with a cream skimmer, or soaked up in a cloth, or collected by dragging a rope or a spancel over the grass, or water taken from a well or stream on the farm, while repeating a powerful charm such as, "Come, butter, come, come, butter, come. Every lump as big as my bum." That's exactly what it says. Or water taken from a point where the boundaries of 3 farms or 3 townlands met. Ishke na drí choran, or the water of 3 mearings, were more than usually potent. Any stranger seen upon one's property on May morning was immediately suspect of evil intent, and might be lucky to get away with only verbal abuse. Lady Wilde, in Ancient Cures, Charms and Usages in 1890, tells us of one such case. A young student was nearly killed one time by the people, for they saw him walking up and down on May morning on the grass, while he read aloud from a book in some strange language. And speaking of strange language, Coda is currently speaking dog to us, and they concluded that he was trying to bewitch the herbs of grace, which are for healing. Fortunately, however, a priest came by, and having examined the book, found it was a copy of Virgil. So he informed the excited crowd that the young man was simply going through his college duties in the grand old language that St. Patrick had brought to Ireland, and which was sacred forever to the use of the church. On this, they were pacified, and the young student was allowed to depart in safety. Strange animals, we're not talking about Coda, by the way, either domestic or wild, were equally unwelcome. One of the commonest of Irish tales is that of the hare seen sucking a cow's milk on May morning. The farmer gives chase, the hare is injured and bleeds, and the trail of blood leads to a house where an old woman lies bleeding. She had assumed the form of a hare so as to steal milk to work magic. Hedgehogs were also suspect, and often were cruelly killed. A hair from a cow's tail, or clay from its cloven hoof, or cow dung from the byre floor, or wisps of straw from the roof of the dwelling house, or the byre, were equally dangerous in the hands of charm setters. Another powerful charm was to repeat the words, "The tops of the grass and the roots of the corn, give me the neighbour's milk night and morn," while plucking grass and pulling young corn in the neighbour's field. Even the smoke rising from the chimney on May morning might be used to steal the butter. The charm setter walked backwards into her own house, all the time watching the neighbours smoke and repeating, "Im anjati shin mochuid banya she," the butter of that smoke upon my milk. Banya she. In parts of Connacht, it was said that would-be butter stealers climbed upon the roof of the house and caught the first smoke in a bag or a can to ensure the efficacy of the charm. To enter the farm unseen and open every gate and door was thought to be equally effective. A spancel, a short piece of rope used to tie a cow's legs while milking, or the halter by which the cow is tied to the stall, could in the wrong hands be injurious. The tale is told of a farmer's boy who came to his master in some perplexity. An old woman has asked him to dip a spancel in the milk and give it to her. The farmer dips it in the cesspool and tells the boy to give it to the hag. Later, when she hangs it over her churn and repeats the charm, what drips from it is filth, not cream. Another story tells of the cow's refusal to drink until their owner had removed from the water a spancel concealed there by a charm setter. What time are we on? Let me just have a look now and see. still quite a significant amount of May Day stuff to go. Yeah, there's an awful lot of May traditions. Another charm was to enter the byre and lay a spancel or a thread across the cows' backs, or to hide at the byre door and tap each animal with a rowan or a hazel switch. Another form of magic attempted about this time was the stealing of the produce of the neighbours' fields by burying in them meat or eggs or bread, by which means the neighbour's crop failed while that of the charm setter gave a double return. By similar means, it was believed that the neighbours' calves died or aborted while the evildoers' cows had healthy twin calves. In parts of Laois and Kilkenny, it is said that old women might be seen sweeping the dust or mud of the high road towards their own houses while repeating the words, "All that passes here be mine, all that passes here be mine," in the hope of gaining power over all the possessions of the wayfarers on that road. It will be remembered that at the Kilkenny witchcraft trial of 1326, it was stated that Dame Alice Cateller was alleged to have swept the streets with a broom, repeating, "To the house of William my son, high all the wealth of Kilkenny town." To every charm there was a counter-charm. No fire was allowed to leave the house. A neighbour or even a man of the household who lit his pipe at the fire was required to smoke it out before he left the house. Should it be vitally necessary to give fire to somebody, say a sick neighbour whose fire had gone out, more fuel was at once added to the fire with a prayer or aspiration such as Gia idir sin agus an tulk, God between us and all harm. Some held that a twig of mountain ash, Sorbus ocoperia, should be added to the fire from which the coal was taken. Others said that the May Day fire lit with dried twigs of mountain ash was thereby freed from all evil influence. People tried not to be the first to light the domestic fire on this morning, watching the neighbours' chimneys to make sure that the smoke of their own fire was not the first to rise and to claim the attentions of the charm setters. People willingly went hungry or ate only cold food rather than light the fire. In parts of Connacht, the phrase "Culla Bealtaine, May Day sleep," was applied to late rising. As it was said, those who could do so slept late on May morning rather than get up and light the fire. Special care was taken not to throw out cinders or ashes from the hearth on May morning. Indeed, nothing whatsoever should be taken from the house on this day. Food scraps should be burned, not thrown on the refuse heap. Floor sweepings, too, must be thrown into the fire. Dirty water must be kept inside at least until after midday, when the evil influences waned. Nothing was loaned or given as a gift or as alms. No decent beggar would ask for anything on May Day. Some went so far as to refuse to pay for anything bought on this day. So strong was the tradition that anything given away could be used to the giver's detriment. So you see here, inherent in this, a lot of the old superstitions. The Irish were a very superstitious people in former times. I think we will do a third episode about May traditions tomorrow, because we're about 2/3 of the way through that, if that's all right. Fascinating stuff. Of course, a lot of that pertains to traditions of the past few centuries. We can't honestly say when a lot of those traditions arose and how far back in time they may go. I wonder, is this a time to reveal another astonishing synchronicity? Anyway, we'll do a bit of reading. Let's see, I spoke to a few people before this episode about something extraordinary. But anyway, yeah, sure, I might. Keep us watching for a few more minutes. I just want to read from, this is the very latest page. I'm going to hold it at a distance so you can't read it. The latest page of TypeScript. I've been writing my new book on a typewriter. I'm around the 49,000 word mark at this moment in time, which is great. I'm planning to write about 80 or 90,000 words. And so the events of the past couple of days have been significant to this moment in the book, and I felt that it was apt and appropriate and perhaps heartening to write about these things. Okay, so here we go. So you're getting a very, very exclusive because while I've read a brief snippet from Return to Segish, which is a book that I wrote in 2018 into 2019. I can't remember ever reading to a public audience a page of a book that I was currently writing in progress. Amazon wants a fortune for Danaher's book. Don't pay it. Wait. Yeah, absolutely. I'd say the same about Island of the Setting Sun. A lot of copies of Island are 100 and 1,000 euros. Don't pay money like that. You will see copies of it coming up for $80 or $100 from time to time. Also, try abebooks.com or abebooks.co.uk because they're linked in with a lot of small individual booksellers and retailers around the world. Anyway, I hope you don't mind me sharing these words. 2 evenings ago, I gazed in wonder and delight at Betelgeuse, and that is the red shoulder star of Orion that a few months ago was dimming considerably, leading everybody to believe it might be about to blow up and go supernova. But I'm glad to report that it has returned to full vibrance, which was at first difficult to find low in the twilight. It was May the 5th, and the official date of the celebration of the ancient festival of Bealtaine. Betelgeuse twinkled and pulsated as if it was dancing. And as I watched it and took some photographs and video with my camera, I danced inside too. Just over 50 miles away, at Uisneach, the ancient sacred centre of Ireland, something very special was happening. The custodians of that ancient hill, David and Angela Clark and their family, lit the Bealtaine fire on the peak of the hill, just as druids and peoples had done centuries and perhaps millennia before. Had COVID-19 not been an issue, 5,000 revellers, myself included, would have celebrated Bealtaine at Uisneach at the annual fire festival there. But if we could not attend the fire, then the fire would come to us. David Clark live-streamed the Uisneach Bealtaine fire for the world to see on social media. It was viewed by thousands of people all around the globe. For a short time, even though we were all separated, in some cases by thousands of miles, we were together. A giant heart of smaller flames was created around the big fire, and so the message of Bealtaine from the heart of Ireland was to take heart and to hope that COVID-19 would soon be a thing of the past. An aspect of the ancient ritual celebration of Bealtaine in Ireland was called, in Gaeilge, Idir na Gá Tine, or Hinna, literally between the two fires. At Bealtaine, it was customary to light 2 fires and drive your cattle between them to purify them and, quote, as a way of preventing contagion through the next year, unquote. As we watched the great fire ablaze at Uisneach, we wished exactly that for ourselves, to be spared this awful contagion and its effects. It was an act of great hope and warmth, as if we could feel the heat of those leaping flames in our own hearts. As I stood watching Betelgeuse gleam and quiver, a scintillating flame of the summer twilight, I thought perhaps that I had caught sight of that distant flame in the heart of Ireland. And even though I knew this was likely to be one of my last sightings of Betelgeuse before Orion's meeting with the summer sun, I was filled with great hope. I was not at all sad or disheartened, as I had perhaps expected to be when I started writing this book. Betelgeuse danced in the half-light, and I danced a merry jig as I watched it disappear. And so, while I was writing that, which was just about an hour, or within the hour before tonight's live stream, the part where I was talking about Uisneach, I needed to measure the distance because I wasn't exactly sure. I wasn't exactly sure of the distance between here and Uisneach in miles. And so, as I've been wont to do over the years, I turned to Google Earth and used the ruler tool to measure the distance between my house and Isle na Mirren at Ishnach. Isle na Mirren has a very, very, very special place in my own heart. And I would consider it sort of the anchoring point for alignments, rather than the peak of the hill, rather than Patrick's Bed or the place of the fire, or Loch Lou or Carnloo. I assume, as Michael Dames did in Mythical Ireland, that Isle na Mirren is the centre point. So anyway, I drew a line from Isle na Mirren to my house in Drogheda. It is just over 51 miles, just over 80 kilometres. And what do you think lies exactly in line, precisely in line, between my house and Isle na Mirren in Ishnach? Dronehenge. And not just Dronehenge, specifically the porch or the ticket office, the rectangular entrance feature of Dronehenge. Now, I know that, and this is one of the hazards of trying to determine ancient alignments, because I know that when you draw a line between two places on a map, you're going to intersect other places. But at the same time, regardless of whether that was ever anything intentional, and obviously it wasn't, the people who built my house were a development company who built this estate in the late 1990s. They did not have their compass out or their theodolite. They weren't looking for Ishnach when they laid out my house there, and they certainly didn't know anything about Dronehenge. Yes, it is serendipity. It is exactly another of those amazing things that happens and continues to happen. So I thought I would share that. I was going to kind of not share it and tell several friends, but I just thought it was worth the share that directly, precisely between here and now, okay, it's a lot closer to here than it is to Ishnach. Dronehenge is about 4 miles this way, so it's close. It's not halfway along the line or even a third of the way along the line. It's close. It's closer to here, but it's very interesting nonetheless. I think it's just a very interesting coincidence and one of those remarkable synchronous events of synchronicity that seem to pop up all the time. Extraordinary stuff. So I hope you enjoyed the book. The book is mainly astronomically themed, but the current sort of COVID situation has entered it inevitably and has influenced it, actually. So inevitably there'll be a lot of mythology and a lot of archaeology in it as well. But anyway, I'll reveal more details in the months to come. I want to finish it first before I start sort of talking it up and talking about it. I've no doubt that if and when the book trade sort of comes back to life again and the bookshops open, the first thing we'll be needing to do is get Island of the Setting Sun reprinted, the 2020 reprint. And then we can turn our hands to trying to get Return to Segish published and also trying to get my new book, which I'm currently writing. But I have to finish that first anyway. So hope you enjoyed tonight. Just once again to say happy birthday, Erica Bow. Hope you have a lovely celebration and heartfelt greetings and best wishes from all of us in the MythFlix Tua. And also a special mention to Evan. And I hope you've been enjoying all these episodes. Evan, it's lovely. Don't be afraid to write Irish as the English translation of Gaeilge. Yeah, I wrote Gaeilge because I didn't want to write Gaelic, Katrina. Yeah, you're right. I could have said Irish, but I don't know, just something was encouraging me, secretly tapping me on the shoulder. So I think tomorrow evening, don't forget tomorrow evening, folks, we're an hour earlier than normal. Mulvanway says Italy has opened their bookshops. One of the first things to open again. That's brilliant. Super. Don't forget, tomorrow evening's episode is an hour earlier than normal, 7 p.m. Irish time. And that is so an hour before your normal time. And we will continue. We'll do one more episode about Bealtaine traditions. I think it's worth it. It's such a wonderful time of the year, and there are obviously such a huge amount of traditions associated with it. We're very lucky to have had the work of such great scholars as Caoimhín O'Donoghue or Kevin Danaher, who has been a remarkable scholar of Irish folk traditions. Please say happy birthday to Marley Tute, my little fella here beside me, says Simon. Happy birthday, Marley! I hope you're having a lovely day. Happy birthday from all of us to you. and I hope you have a great celebration. I'm sure you will. Okay, let's do it. Let's embarrass ourselves, folks. Everybody in one voice. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Marley and Erica. Happy birthday to you. Yay! For he's a jolly good fellow. For he's a jolly good fellow. Happy birthday, Marley. There you go. And that's all we have for tonight. We've had birthdays, we've had full super moons, we've had the Keepers of the Ishnok Fire watching tonight, we have had Evan and Marley watching. It's been brilliant. It's been a wonderful night, as it always is with you great folks. Bretlaw, Sonna, to all the birthday people on the tour. Brilliant stuff. Thank you for that, Katrina. Happy birthday. Look at all those well wishes for Marley. So we've 2 birthdays today. Brilliant stuff. And an applause from Theresa McGuinness. I hope that is a happy birthday applause, and I hope you're not applauding my singing. You're not likely to hear that again. Sure, look, let's just let all the birthday wishes scroll up before we hang up, before we finish the episode. Look at that. Isn't it brilliant? I'm thirsty tonight. I need a pint. What do you reckon I should drink? Standing ovation, says Margaret. Yeah, happy birthday, Erica and Marley. And of course, a special hello to Evan. Okay, so hope you've all enjoyed yourselves. We'll see you tomorrow evening. In the meantime, as always, Call us Sov, Slán go Fóill. Stay healthy, stay safe, keep washing your hands. Remember, if you're outside, maintain social distancing, keep your distance from people. Wear a face mask if necessary, especially if it's been ordered by your government or by the people who run your state. Do everything that you can to keep yourself safe and healthy, and to keep everyone else safe and healthy, so that we can keep coming back for the evening broadcasts. Had quite a bit of fun this evening. It was an enjoyable episode. Don't forget the dew pictures. And I might roll around in the garden myself in the morning. In the meantime, good night, everyone. Icha wa agus Call us Sov. Slán go Fóill. See you tomorrow evening. Bye bye.